In this guide, why RFC 9068 standardizes the JWT profile for OAuth 2 access tokens so any resource server can validate them locally without calling the authorization server. The 7 mandatory claims, including the critical odd claim that prevent confused deputy attacks, and the threat model covering token replay, audience binding with resource indicators, and sender constraining with depot P. Identity expert, powering you to be an expert in identity. JWT access tokens. Before RFC 9068, every authorization server invented its own claim structure. OAuth 0 used one format, Keycloak another, Okta a third. A resource server written for one vendor couldn't safely validate tokens from another without custom parsing code or a proprietary introspection call on every request. RFC 9068, published in October 2021, fixes that. It defines the exact claims, the validation algorithm, and the type header, at+JWT, that every compliant authorization server must use. Think of a signed Backstage pass at a concert. Your name is the subject. The venue printed on the pass is the audience. It's only valid at this specific venue, not at another one down the street. The expiry date is the exp. The serial number in the corner is the JTI, a unique ID so security can cross-check a dental list and catch anyone who found a lost or copied pass. The crucial point, security staff check the pass on the door without calling the box office. That local verification, no network call, no remote lookup, is exactly what RFC 9068 makes possible for APIs. Before RFC 9068, JWT access tokens were a Wild West. The odd claim audience was optional in some implementations, or populated with the client ID instead of the resource server URI. The JTI claim for replay prevention was frequently omitted. The type header had no standard value. Resource servers wrote vendor-specific validation logic, and a multi-vendor deployment required an introspection call on every request because there was no shared grammar for reading a JWT you didn't issue. OAuth 2 defined that access tokens existed, but said nothing about their internal structure. RFC 9068 specifies 6 validation steps in order. Step 1. Verify the signature using the issuer's JWKS endpoint. Reject any token with an invalid or missing signature. Step 2. Verify the IS claim matches a trusted issuer in your configuration. Step 3. The most important, verify odd contains your own URI as the resource server. If your URI is not an odd, reject the token immediately even if the signature is valid. This stops confused deputy attacks. Step 4. Check exp hasn't passed and NBF has been reached if present. Step 5. Check JTI against your replay cache and reject any duplicate. Step 6. Verify scope covers the permissions required for this endpoint. Here is what an RFC 9068 JWT access token looks like on the wire. The JOSC header sets type to at+JWT. That +JWT convention signals access token, not ID token or general JWT. The payload includes IS, the authorization server's URL, sub the resource owner's identifier, odd the resource server's URI, note this is the API-based URL, not the client ID, IAT and X for issuance and expiry times, JTI a unique identifier per token, cliented of the requesting application, and scope. These 8 fields form the mandatory core. A resource server holding the issuer's public key can validate this token entirely offline in microseconds. RFC 9068 addresses 3 specific threats. Token replay. An attacker captures a valid token and reuses it. The JTI claim prevents this. The resource server maintains a dental list of seen JTI values and rejects any token whose JTI has already been processed. Confused deputy. A token issued for one resource server is presented to a different one. The mandatory odd claim stops this. The resource server must reject any token where its own URI is not present in odd. RFC 8707 resource indicators go further, letting the client bind the token to a specific resource URI at authorization request time. Token theft. Short expiry limits the damage window. Depot P or MTLS sender constraining binds the token to a specific key pair. A stolen token without the matching private key is useless. RFC 9068 has become the production standard for JWT access tokens. OAuth 0, Okta, and Keycloak all emit RFC 9068 compliant tokens by default. The at+JWT type header, odd pointing to the resource server, all mandatory claims present. OAuth 2.1 normatively references RFC 9068 as the access token profile for structured token deployments. Resource indicators from RFC 8707 are seeing wider adoption, making audience binding at authorization request time the default posture for regulated APIs. If you're building an API gateway or authorization server today, RFC 9068 is the specification to build your token validation logic against. All primary sources cited in today's guide are listed on screen. You'll find direct links to the RFCs and specifications in the video description below. If this breakdown helped you understand the topic better, please subscribe to Identity Expert. We publish a new protocol deep dive every week. Thanks for watching. If there's a specific identity standard, authentication flow, or security protocol you'd like us to cover next, drop it in the comments below. We build our content based on what the community asks for. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an episode.